Hello YouTube, it is me back again with another cold brew coffee video. I said before that I was going to show you the process of how I do this, and that is no lie. But we are going to do it quickly as my baby is napping and I do not know how much time I have. So what I have is I have some cold brew that I have had brewing that needs to be tended to, and then I'm going to start another batch because as it turns out I really like this stuff. I have a mason jar I'm starting with. It's actually Ball. And then I have my Cafe du Monde coffee. Now my husband did pick me up another kind of coffee to use, and now I'm all like devoted to this one because it's so good. So to this we're going to add 5.5 tablespoons and a half, and I'm going to have to break out the next kind of coffee for my next batch, which is a bummer. All right, so we've got our 5.5. Now this is a half. Like I half the recipe, because when I first did this I did a full batch and I liked what it yielded me. It yielded me 4 cups, but it takes longer because you have more to do, so I'm doing everything in half batches and I just do it more often. So I've got my 5.5 tablespoons of coffee, and then I've got 2 cups of water here, and I'm just gonna pour it over and try to saturate as much of the grounds as I can. I am going to add an additional half of a cup of coffee to this. It does make a pretty concentrated cold brew, so I'm not worried about it if it like thins it down a little more. The water that I use is filtered water. So I just get that poured in there. And then you're going to stir this down. You're going to really make sure that all those grounds get saturated with water. Some of them kind of hide in there. And so that is the start of the process. I put a cap on this, put it in the fridge, and I let it sit at least 24 hours. This last round that I am doing, that I'm getting ready to process now, it actually sat a little over 24 hours, if I'm honest. So we'll see how thick that ends up being. But I did kind of like this, and I used a little extra water, so I really didn't care that it sat a little bit longer. So yeah, let's jump into that and do the next part of the cold brew process, which is the filtering portion, where we separate the grounds from the liquid itself. All right, so I've removed my rings, and this is what I have in place. I work off of my cold brew, which I've already done some of it, but I work off my cold brew. I have this pitcher, and then my filter that I showed in a previous video. It's this one. And so I just set it here on my pitcher, and it pretty well holds itself, and I just gradually pour it in there. This has been a process. And so then I take, after it's built up some in here, the grounds, I take this and I squeeze this portion out into, like it still drains on its own a little bit, see? But then I squeeze this out into the pitcher. And I'm sorry, you really can't see better of what I'm doing. I will get better systems, I swear I will. And so you kind of have to like pack it down. See, look at that. That's why I took my rings off. It can wreak havoc on your nails a little bit. The black, I'm hoping it helps. Kind of like squeezes up in there. I want to get as much as I can out. And then what I do is, once I get my grounds like fairly dry, I've started this since I am using so many coffee grounds right now at this time, because I do make regular coffee in the coffee pot every day, and then I'm keeping my cold brew stocked up, and the cold brew does take so many grounds that I have been putting them in this bowl and letting them dry out a little bit. And then what I do from there is I put them in a bag and I'm freezing them. And so then I've got my pitcher, and I take and I just pour some in there. And I need to get the grounds out of the bottom so that they drain really well. And I just let it drain on its own, and then I squeeze the grounds, and that's what I do. And then I'll put it all in my cold brew jar, and this will go in the fridge, and I make my cold brew off of this. Okay, and what I have actually noticed is it does better if we double filter. So I've got my already filtered coffee, cold brew, and I'm just gonna pour it in and let it filter through. And this process is faster, obviously, because we're not filtering through grounds anymore. We're just filtering off like excess additional grounds. And it's just better. We just have double filtered. So let's make our cold brew that we're gonna drink. I got some ice in here. We'll go to there. Then I've got some coconut milk that I've already shaken up. Unsweetened coconut milk. We're gonna throw that in there. And then our cold brew. And then I'm gonna top it with water. To this, I added my pumpkin seasoning that I added in my last cold brew video. It just does something, especially with that coconut milk. I made it stronger than I have lately. That is how I like it. And here is my, like, what would that be, like a venti? That's like a massive amount of cold brew for a fraction of the cost. So thank you for joining me, and we will see you next time. Bye.